Hello and welcome to Loot Level Chat Episode 5. My name is Adam Cook, and in a methodology that is going to throw everyone, I'm going to introduce you in a different order this week for the video. What did I say?
Episode 5, you said. Despite us off pod saying this is definitely episode 4, you just went back to episode 5.
I mean, there's an element of me that wants to leave this in, really.
Yeah. Just leave it in,
you should leave it in. There are green room deliberations that you don't pay attention in, and I think people need to know that.
Okay.
I bet you don't even know what we're discussing today.
Hello and welcome to Loot Level Chat Episode 4. My name is Adam Cook, and in a way I want to throw everyone off-piste today because there's 4 of us on this episode. I'm going to introduce people in a different order because they're on the video version. Ooh, youtube.com/lootlevelchill. Chris Hyde.
Hello.
Steve Chambers.
Buongiorno.
I'll come back to that. Mick Fraser.
Hi.
Thank you.
I don't know where
Steve,
you are.
Could you?
Don't know where anything is.
Could you repeat what you said to us?
Buongiorno.
I said hello, mate.
Buongiorno.
Hello.
Yeah, no, I like the high pitch.
I heard Mongiorno.
So did I. Hence why I said we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
No, it was a buongiorno.
Yeah, I heard.
You might want to know, man. You know,
I heard you right, Steve.
Thank you, mate.
You might
old
want to
guys
just
clean their
work
ears out.
on your enunciation is all. You wouldn't catch me making any mistakes like that. That's for damn
No, of
sure.
course not, man.
How is everybody?
Not after the
Everybody
edit, anyway.
Grand.
good? Grand.
All grand.
We said brand.
Yeah, you really have problems with. You really do seem to have problems with your B's. It's yeah, that sounded like a B to me.
It's his beard.
I'm not repeating it now. If you go, you go. That's fine.
Fine. Let's talk about some video games. We always talk about a little bit of gaming news, and a game that I'm really excited to play. You wrote a story about Chris Hyde because the Alters, they've started doing like a mini documentary type thing.
Yeah, so at GDC this week, they kind of announced that they're doing this kind of mini docu-series, I guess, called kind of Expedition Logs. Just really sort of going, I guess, behind the scenes, trying to pick apart what the game actually is and how it's all going to work and play. Because it's a bit of a melange of genres, isn't it? It's like it feels like it's got a little bit of like No Man's Sky, base building, some weird cloning shite as well, and like survival aspects as well. So it's like, I think they're just trying to do this kind of series. People kind of really know what to expect when the game, whenever it releases, is all about.
Which has to be soon, right?
Now,
well, the demo's been out for ages.
The demo's been out for ages, so I don't understand. I thought that we would also get a release date alongside this, and it's still sometime in 2025.
Have they said
Is
how
that
many
what
parts?
they're maybe building to with the docu-series?
That's what I was going to say. Have they said how many parts this docu-series is going to be? Maybe the last one. 8?
Did I read that? I'm sure I read that it was 8. 5 or 8, but yeah, don't quote me. I might be very wrong, but I'm sure that's what I read.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, you're just talking at least 2 more months, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's not just going to be.
I would have thought if it was coming out within the next 2 months, then we would have got a date already.
Yeah, very good point.
So,
but it was like supposed to be out late last year, and it was only when we got near Christmas, and it was like they haven't released a date. You knew it's gonna just announce the release dates. The delay, because you know.
What's the response been like to the demo? Because I don't hear many people talking about it outside of us. Because I know you really like the demo. I dabbled with it for a little while, but it's not. It doesn't seem to be one of those that. Yeah, I don't hear about it a lot. I don't see it pop up a lot. So I wonder if they didn't get a great response to the demo, or they haven't had demo numbers, so they're just endlessly tweaking things. Because you can over edit quite easily if you go,
Yeah.
I just wonder if that's what they're doing. Well, if it's just polish is good.
Well, I was wondering that because watching the trailer, it is a trailer with intents and purposes, isn't it? Because, like I say, I didn't click it initially because it was a documentary. I thought, I haven't got time for like a 10-minute thing right now, but it's only a minute and a half, as you told me. I might be. It might be one of those things where you're almost seeing what you want to see, but I did have a feeling like there were certain elements, like when in the video, which you can see on lootlevelchill.com, when the sort of cloned sheep appears, I thought it looked particularly like high end. Like then straight away, my brain went, "Oh well, this is not going to be running on a Steam Deck." Do you know what I mean? But then I played the PC demo on a PC. I know there's now a console demo on PlayStation 5. I don't know if it's on Xbox as well, but it's definitely a PS5 demo. I had heard it was a bit rough on there, like the frame rate was a bit. But then it's a demo, so it's not, you know.
I'd be surprised if the game's not finished, to be honest. And they must be polishing. They must be fixing things, or like you said, if they've given some elements of it a glow up, that takes time.
I don't know anything. I've avoided playing it because I just want to go in, just go in with no preconceived ideas and just play it. And also, I hate like starting and then having to stop with like a demo. I hate that.
Yeah.
So I don't know with everything else that's going on this year and a lot of noise and big titles whether they're just trying to drum up interest with this, which I don't think is a bad idea. Like. We know, because if I'm honest, I didn't know what this was until late last year when you were kind of going on about it. And I'm like, oh, now I'm super keen on it and I'll see more and I'm even more keen. And you guys have played the demo and you're keen. But I don't know how widespread that awareness is.
I would imagine not very.
Exactly. And so I wonder if what this is trying to do is go, look, this actually looks quite good. This is what we're trying to achieve, and I think that's the thing.
Last year there was like a survival game drop every sort of 20 minutes.
Oh god!
Like for the probably last 2 years, it's been really, really become very oversaturated. And I think if people just go, "Oh, it's a sci-fi survival game," do you know what I mean? It doesn't pique interest. So I think what they're probably trying to do with this is say, right, just this is what it is, more than just. Yeah. I mean, I think the opening lines in that expedition log thing are, it's more than just a survival game.
Yeah, exactly. It is, yeah.
I think they really wanted to drive that home because it's, also it's very narrative. And I think sometimes saying that a survival game has got a strong narrative, that kind of puts people off almost because...
It's much more niche than your average survival game. Looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is like there's part of me that thinks it's a good plan because you could go, right, episode 1... introduction, episode 2 we're going to show you the exploration, episode 3 we're going to but the other part of me goes like, actually I'm not so sure it wouldn't be better to just do that in one big video, because the way the attention span is these days is that you might not get someone with episode 1 and then that's unfortunately it. Like I like that this game is quite different. I've played like not as many as Mick and probably on par with you, Chris, how many different survival-y games. Crafting games, I think, are more my thing than survival. But I like the combination. But I guess I veer more towards sort of creation and crafting than the like. Oh, you need to eat here. Whereas this feels more like the one I would like. You may
die.
It's really interesting to me because what I felt when I played the demo as it starts off and my initial reaction, and I don't know how the actual final game will start, although I would suspect similarly. Because of the narrative introduction, I was like, this is newer. This is what Mass Effect gave me. It gave me that like isolated space feeling, this cool exploration thing. Then you do go off and explore, and it goes more sort of a bit satisfactory-ish, where you're putting pylons down and finding resources to
and that's it. This way, I think it starts off a bit sort of like No Man's Sky in that sense.
Yes,
and then
100%.
I think this is what it even says in the kind of expedition log. It very much intentionally starts off like that, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, shit gets real, and then that's where this whole alter stuff comes in because you need more than.
Well, that's
just
when
yourself.
It goes to sort of XCOM base building, like when XCOM came back, when it was XCOM and XCOM 2, like the 360 era ones.
Yeah, it was,
that portion of the game where you were better. That's what that reminds me of, and I'm like, that's a thing you don't get an awful lot of in video games.
Well, it's because it's really, really, really hard to do a narrative around that kind of like those mechanics. Because you look at games like what was that one I reviewed a few years ago, Stranded, Alien Dawn, or like RimWorld, where they're very much like survival games but on a grander scale. Because normally a survival crafting game, you're on your own. At the very best, you've probably got like NPCs that you've moved in that will run a blacksmithy for you or whatever. Whereas this looked like every clone that you create, and I presume that from what I've seen, as you need something, you create a clone that can fill that role.
Yes,
and,
you do. You
but the clone,
you kind of like create like a
unique
scientist
skill set, and
but it's not just a case of but you don't just create an NPC and they go off and do it. Each of these clones seems to have a personality, and they have needs, and they have like. So it's not just because if you look at the trailer, every clone looks very different. Like they're not just like I've made this guy and he looks like me.
Yeah.
No, but if you think about it from a gameplay perspective, if they didn't, that would be so.
It would be super
annoying.
weird. They have to kind of go.
This is the thing
though,
because they've done that, but they haven't just done that. They've done that, and then they've given it a narrative reason for the clones to look different. And because they've all got different the systems that must layer on top of one another in that game.
Yeah,
must be quite insane.
It's interesting, obviously, coming off the back of something like Frostpunk, where that kind of leans very heavily into kind of the dark narrative side of survival game, right? For what it's worth. And I don't know how far this is going to lean into it, but it certainly feels like you're going to have to make some tough decisions one way or the other to, appease clone number 6 versus clone number 4.
Might even be more than that. You might only have enough life support at some point.
Exactly.
So many, or
well, in the demo, you can build more rooms of varying types. So I wonder how expansive that can become. The thing is, though, Mick, when you're describing what you're describing to me, you're almost sort of saying the big difference between this and a lot of the games that you've reviewed, talked about, played. This is not early access. It is going to be a finished video game.
Well,
That's a big deal for me.
Yeah, at that demo point, they could have easily gone, right, it's early access, get on with it.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And also, I think a lot of that is because it's so narrative driven. Like the thing about early access is it's not
that's
always,
what I mean.
but a lot of the time. I mean, Baldur's Gate did a lot of stuff with its story in early access, and a lot of people complained about it. I mean, it worked out okay for them because it ended up being a fucking 250-hour game anyway.
It did all right.
Yeah, but I think usually I think when it's something in early access, it's because it's going to be a live service or it's going to be something that the narrative is not hinging on. Like this could have twists and there's going to be things you don't know and surprises, and it's really exciting to think about the possibilities of this game. But then again, that might be what this expedition log thing is about, because as much as they want to hype the game up, they also want to temper some expectations as well from people playing the demo and going, well, if this does this, then this may happen in the game. You might get a little bit carried away with what you're expecting.
They walk in and go, oh, slightly disappointed. But yeah, it's not going to be. It's been grand.
I think, we'll move on to sort of what we've been playing, but I think it's worth mentioning that, that it's nice to support a game that, let's be honest, it is a smaller game compared to some of the bloody games this year. And I genuinely... I was talking to people about what I was looking forward to, and I didn't have the handy 2025 release dates list to hand, and this didn't. Well, it didn't so much slip my mind as because it's just not got a date that it didn't jump into my mind. But a game that we can talk about now, and we'll start with you, Steve, on this, because I know you've been like super excited to it, and Mick reviewed it, so obviously some of what he thinks is already available on this channel, this very channel. If you subscribe, there's a review of Mick's of Assassin's Creed Shadows, Stephen.
Yeah, AC Shadows is finally.
Which you hate, I believe.
What's that, Adam?
Which you hate.
I do, yeah, it's horrible. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, to be honest. Go back to something more enjoyable like AC3. Do that, yeah, get back on that instead.
Oh, right. I was going a bit further back to like Pong, maybe.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. I mean, there's a little bit less stealth in Pong. AC Shadows, yeah, it's finally here. And it's lived up to all expectations as far as
worth the delays. I feel is a thing worth saying.
Yeah, I mean it's easy to forget that we were originally expecting it last November, and yet here we are a few months later.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's ready to go. It's fully fledged. It's fantastic. It's a step back in a lot of ways to older AC games. It has more focus again on being stealthy. It has the feel of some of the earlier games, basically.
I think it's got the most stealth that it's ever.
I was going to say,
even compared to say AC 1-2.
Even if you go back to the original Assassin's Creed, when there was a lot, when the stealth was more of a necessity, I guess, because you kind of had to.
I think the stealth just works better in this. Like it's the best.
But yeah,
stealth
that's
rather
the thing.
Than
yeah,
the most,
That's what it is. It doesn't, because I never felt when I was playing it, like I said in the review, like it had brought stealth back to the franchise. I don't think it had ever had it at this level.
And it just works. Like, it works brilliantly. The stealth in this is my favourite thing.
It's done the thing. I mean, it plays a lot with the light and shadows in the game.
Shadows, you say?
Shadows, yeah.
Well done, game. Well done.
That's why they delayed it.
I agree with you. Like you say, stealth is
I get it now
to this as well.
Oh.
Stealth is back at the forefront of this again. It wants you to be creeping around. It wants you to be dropping down behind people and living out those
you can go prone
fantasies that people have been having for so long now. You know,
I'll tell you, he couldn't go prone, could he?
No,
not until now.
This is a setting that people have wanted and been crying out for what 10 plus years longer.
Oh, for Christ, yeah.
And we finally got it. You know, I was sort of thinking earlier. You know, it's a case of with say Go to Tsushima, if that's eaten a little bit of its pie to a given degree, because you've got that setting now in a game, you know, that is alike but not the same. I don't think they are directly comparable because the moment to moment is quite different between those two games. They look a lot alike, but you're not playing the same kind of game.
I mean, you could also throw Rise of the Ronin into the mix now. I mean, that in its own right, that is and again, it's a Japanese setting. It's got an element of stealth. It's got that great combat. It's a massive open world. But it's very different.
Yeah, I guess each have got their own feel, and I'd say in that moment to moment play, it does feel very different from each other. So yeah, you've now got the 2-character gameplay for people who haven't seen too much of this, which would be hard to have avoided for the last God knows how long. To be fair, it's been everywhere, and I'm guessing most people have seen it. But you have 2 characters who play very differently. Nawe, who is traditional ninja style, she is lithe, she is quick, she relies on getting behind people and giving a casual stab in the throat. And then you got Yosuke, which I'm probably going to pronounce wrong, and I do it consistently.
I thought it was Yasuke, as in Yasuke, which is spelled usually Yasuke.
He is
maybe
big chunky boy, big chunky weapons. He is not subtle in any way, shape, or form. He is getting people's faces and attempt to put face through the floor.
I want to pause you there a little bit, right? Because I think there's something we need to talk about, and this is the perfect time to do it. So we all knew, if like I said, unless you didn't, but most people who have been following this game knew that
you either
this
knew
game
or you
had
didn't.
Yeah, you either knew or you didn't. But if you did know about this game, you knew it had switchable protagonists, right?
Yeah.
You knew that, especially because you played it early.
I did indeed.
But I want to know, I know this sort of excludes Chris because he hasn't started it yet, because he's been playing a different game, which we will talk about soon. Mick and Steve, no more than this. Give me a rough hourage, I won't hold you to it, of when you made the switch via story from Naoe to Yasuke properly for the first time. Just roughly. I'll start.
I'm going to say about 11 hours in, somewhere there.
See, that's wild to me. 11. It was like 17 and a half for me. Mick?
See, probably about the same as Steve.
That's
but
crazy.
I kind of...
It depends how much you want to mainline the story, though, as well.
What I'm getting at is I'm not sure actually how long the intention is for you to...
I think you could probably unlock him within 3 or 4 hours, I reckon.
That's what I'm wondering.
If you went heads down and just crack on with it.
Probably even quicker. If
so
you
is
just
this because you're like clicking all the Ubisoft icons on the map?
Yes, that's why I
Shiny
said
magpie
17 and a
mode.
half, and they did 11.
It is partly that, but it's also because things like... So like Naoe's memories, you know, when you do the little meditation thing, like that's all optional.
Yep.
But they don't just give you a memory or a cutscene. You get like a sort of half hour to an hour long section of game to play with its own mission, which are optional. So like if you chop them down, and obviously it's Assassin's Creed, so you know if you see a tower, you climb it. It's one of those things. If you're close enough to one, you go up it because it's going to reveal more stuff.
That's almost a rule, isn't it? At this point, if it's close enough to be seen, I've got to go and do that.
But
now.
you see,
I
found the world's look. I don't want to be the dude's like I'm playing on a PS5 Pro and it looks so amazing because Mick was playing on a really good graphics card. Steve, you've been playing on a PS5.
Gold standard PS5. I know.
It's not like this game looks shit on any format, but I found it to be like one of the best PS5 Pro games I've played. Like it runs beautifully, but it's still, because there's lots of games on PS5 base that run great in frame rate mode, and you don't lose like masses. No one's there going, oh, the texture, like, you know. But this really was one of those games, and I think we all said this at various points, and I think Chris White also said it. It really is an astonishingly good-looking game. So I found myself just, and they're also clever because I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason to it, and I don't know if anyone can confirm this to me, but the season stuff, like now and again, you'll finish a mission that's a story mission, or you'll just leave your hideout, and we need to talk about the hideout. But you'll do that.
Austin.
Oh,
you'll do like a mission where you're at the hideout, and you leave the hideout, and it'll just change seasons. Right? That just, is that random, or is that?
Well, so it has.
It makes the world look.
It has a timer that ticks around.
yeah, you can see
Does
it coming
it?
essentially.
So there is a timer that
Not
ticks
noticed that in
around,
20 hours.
but you can also change the season at will at certain points
Yeah,
in the
you can
game.
do it on the fly.
But the reason
I think
asked
you have
is,
to be
I
a
can't
certain
remember
way
that.
through the season, because you can't just go like, because it refreshes your scouts
Summer
and it
tomorrow,
gives you like
winter next day.
yeah. So, but I think when it gets to past a certain point, you can just go fuck it next season.
But the reason
because
I
You're
ask
basically
is
hitting
because-
fast forward each time when you need to.
Because that, even just the simplicity of like, now it's winter and it's snowy everywhere. The world has changed. It looks totally different, and I don't really recall them doing that level before. But
They
what it
haven't
meant
done
is
that
that I
It affects
just wanted
gameplay
to-
too.
That's what I mean. I just wanted to continuously explore. That's why when I finally was like, it was really, for me, it was like I need to know for the pod more than anything. At some point, you fucking must change to this other dude, because you start the game early on where you get to experience him, but then you quickly switch to Naue. And it's like, at some fucking point, you must be able to switch at will. So I have to find out. Otherwise, I just don't know how much more I would have kept. I'd have just kept exploring. But I do think that the fact that they've got two. What? Because I was interested, because again, I hadn't really properly played as him. I was wondering, can he still climb stuff and that?
Yeah,
you know,
it's
he
really
can, but he's not like
No.
her. She's nimble.
He's
He's like
So
fucking
it's like me
climbing up
trying to
rocks.
climb things. It's fucking
they
horrendous.
His
do it really
assassinations
cleverly,
as well.
actually. Because
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about beforehand, weren't we, about how? Because I remember saying to you when I was about hour 8 or something, I kind of don't want to switch to Yasuke.
Yes,
now,
I felt the same.
Because Naue is just amazing to play as.
But so
And
is
then you wouldn't-
Yasuke.
Exactly, and then you unlock him, and it's so different.
Oh,
like
he's
the
a
game
badass.
feels
It's two games
so
in one, isn't it?
different.
It
Like
really
he when he climbs buildings or whatever, he drags himself up because he's in full armor and he's like the size of a house anyway. He like smashes through
Do you
doors.
know-
he cannot do
also-
quiet assassinations either. He
No,
cannot
but
You
I
also
do
think
can't
that's
find the
clever.
same stuff that she can either. Some of the stuff that you can easily get it with her.
Oh yeah,
he just kind
he
of-
can't. Yeah,
he
he
just bumps
can't
into
do
it and
that.
goes,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
thanks, not doing that.
Yeah. And I love it when you sneak up, because the first time I did it, I snuck up behind someone and it says brutal assassination. I went,
Yeah.
oh, this would be good. And I pressed it and he just fucking steps out and goes, oi, you and me. It's
And
like,
then he
I'm
chops
trying
their
to
head
do
off
this
usually.
quietly, Yasuke. And then like the whole castle comes down. But the thing is, when the whole fort or castle or whatever you're raiding comes down and you're as Yasuke, you just think, right, fucking I'll have you. One at a time or all together. Because
Thank
it's
the fucking lot of them, don't you?
really,
The power
Naue can do
fantasy
it,
of when you
but it's-
become him is quite
Oh,
something,
it's
because
very,
whereas before,
very
if you hit someone as Naue with any weapon, doesn't matter which, but let's just say the sword, and they block it and you bounce off, you're like, oh, I'm in trouble. With him, you just go again, and
Straight
like
through
the
it.
second
Yeah,
one
yeah.
will just break
Power
their
through it.
guard, because he is just such a fucking strong dude. And I was like you said, Mick, I don't want to play as him. I'm just going to stick to Naue. But as soon as I was able to play as him, and I did it, I was like, this is really clever, really
becomes
clever,
very
and it works.
situational as well.
I
Very
remember-
situational. Because
I
if you try and quietly raid a castle as Yasuke, you're not going to do it. You
not
cannot.
happening, is it?
So yeah, you do have to switch. Sorry, Chris, but you do have to
No.
switch between.
It's fine. No, I remember seeing, this was a little while ago, but obviously before the game launched, everyone was like moaning about this massive brick shithouse in full armor, and they're like, how is this guy gonna do silent takedowns?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, it's not realistic. This guy would never do silent takedowns. I like the fact that they just go, no, he fucking doesn't.
Well,
he
he
just
doesn't.
rocks up and kicks down the front door and goes, oi.
It
I
just
think
locked his
that's
fucking
actually
limbs off.
better than trying to pretend that this guy could
Yes,
sneak around
100
on the roofs
but
of buildings and fucking.
I actually think they go even further with it, because when you I'm not going to be like I'm super clever, but I did see the twist of, because at first you're like, well, they set it up. This is really mild spoilers because it's trailer stuff, but they set it up that quite early on, you're like, so the two of these characters I'm playing as are on the opposite sides of history here. So how's it going to work for me switching between them but being in the same area? The way they introduce the story, the way it develops, is really clever. Now, I did at one point, the reason I say, I'm not acting all clever, is I did see it come. It's like, okay, I get how they're going to make that work. But then they actually they properly reintroduce them. And the way they do it, you have this impression in your head. It's almost like you accidentally stereotype. You think he's going to, you say the brick shit house, you think he's going to be that. He's not that. He's actually a really sensitive, emotional person who has a really, really interesting backstory. And when they introduce that, you're like, I don't know, like, for me, this is the sort of game, I think this is the game that Ubisoft needed. I think it really shows that they have, that they did. Do you know, like, Chris, you'll appreciate this. I know you haven't played Assassin's Creed Shadows, but you'll appreciate this. You ever think to yourself, oh, I wish EA would just take a year off FIFA because it would be the most amazing game if they did it. Yeah. That's what this is for me. And this had become another series where you would be thinking, like, look, they're really good video games and we all enjoy them and they review well and we like them. But they're never games that you really genuinely are like, oh, they're pushing for top 5 of all of the year, because they are
for a long time.
Not for the longest time, really, I would say. And this, they have done that. They have threatened to release it and instead gone, no, it's not ready. Gone away and taken more time, and it's
incredibly polished as well. And I don't want to sound really dismissive, but for a Ubisoft game, it's really, really polished. I'll tell you what I really like.
Apart from the horse make, yeah?
Yeah. No, they fixed that.
Yeah.
They fixed that pre-release. While I was doing the review, there was an update and the horse was much.
Can I just point out, the thing you're complaining about, Steve, with the horse is that you're bolting along at 70 mile an hour on a horse, and you're complaining that when you do so, if you hit a thing that would off-balance it, it goes off balance. Now, I know the rest of the game...
If the horse stumbled and fell, okay. It doesn't. It hits something and goes like... It literally goes like a GTA motorbike up in the air and lands back down again.
It's not even that one. It's when you whistle for it, so obviously you can just do a little whistle and call it in wherever you want to. And it just fucking barrels into you, knocking you out of the way.
Onto it.
It's stuck behind a sign every now and again. You're like, oh, hello.
The one thing I don't like is when you go into the menu and you change its saddle, and when you do that, instead of just coming out the menu and its saddle's changed, you get off it, it vanishes, and then reappears next to you. And that did my head in every time it did that. Because why can't you just
pick a saddle, Mick, and stick with it? Fuck's sake.
This is how I knew it was a really good video game, right? Because when you know a game's really good when you are like trying to find things to sort of level out your critique a bit, and they are the most nitpicky of nitpicky.
Oh yeah, the horse's footage.
Yeah. No, that's not even it for me, because I didn't have that bad of an experience with the horse. So the only gripe I have is, again, it's so harsh, but like, you know when you go to the storage trunk in, say, your dojo or whatever, and you want to put stuff into it.
Yeah.
So you put it in there. And then there's a little animation of like it flashes away and there's a little thing appears and you're like, I just want to put 7 things in, but you make me wait for every single animation. It's like
that is one of those. Sell things as well. Yeah, it says item sold.
Yeah,
it's like,
I know. I pressed it. I had to hold a button down to do it. I don't need just let me get on with it. But like when you are at that degree of like that's annoying. You know that this is a very good game.
Can I just ask?
Sorry.
No. It's going to be a finishing point. So if you've got...
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, one thing I really appreciated in Shadows was... So, Valhalla, I played Valhalla like just a straight action game. I didn't stealth unless the game told me to stealth. I was a Viking in Valhalla, so I just went for it. Same as Odyssey, right? I didn't play Odyssey like a stealth game. If there was a fort to raid, I just got on a hill, scoped everybody out, and then went for it. I rarely did any stealth. But one thing I used to always complain about with Assassin's Creed games was that you would have a target, and you would spend all this time getting to the target. You'd go really, really quietly, really carefully. You'd go through windows, underhead, whatever you were doing to get there stealthily. As soon as you went to assassinate the target, it would go, no, cutscene, now you have to fight it. They used to do that all the time. I think they did that from the beginning, like from Assassin's Creed 1, there was this element where you catch the target, now you got to fight them.
Turn it into that big moment.
And I don't know whether it did that in Valhalla, because I rarely did anything quietly in Valhalla. But Mirage did the same thing. You would try and assassinate them. They would throw you off. You'd have to have a big fight. The thing I really appreciate, and it's one of the reasons that once I put easy assassinations on, I left them on, because it was a lot more fun to go into a castle, have a target somewhere, sneak around, and then kill that guy and get out without anybody knowing. And you can't do that without easy assassinations on. You can't, because
you don't have a big fight, haven't you?
Well, I don't know if you can with bosses. Maybe you can, though, but you certainly can't until you've upgraded to a certain point, right? So it does take a while to get there. But so if you don't go down that upgrade path, or you don't get those skills, you might not be able to. But I really appreciated the fact that I could have a target in a castle, quietly take out guards, hide bodies, sneak around, and then assassinate that guy without having to have a fight, without having to have a post-death conversation like they used to have.
I did get round that with my skills. So, like, for example, one of the things that I want to unlock skills is I put it so that basically, they have like almost pips of health, and assassinations will take off like a whole pip. But if they've got 2 or 3 pips, it won't, because they're a high level. But you can upgrade or add mods to certain weapons that it will remove an extra pip if you are doing an air assassination. So that's what I love to. I love jumping off and doing the air assassinations. I just think that's great fun.
Double air assassinations are amazing.
Absolutely, man. Like, it's just the most fun way to. I do like it when they walk past and you just and then back into the bush you're hiding in as well. But for me, it's the air. But you can do that as well, because you can equip you can kit yourself out in such a way that you have really spec towards, I want to be silent. I want every assassination type to be like extra damaging, so that it was very rare in the first 20 hours or so, as far as I am, that I found anyone I couldn't one-hit kill. And if I did, that posed its own little puzzle to me. It was like, I have to take everyone else out, because then we're going to one-on-one. And if we do that, you're fucked, son. Because I'm taking your armor off straight away, and then you got nothing. But yeah,
it gives you fair warning as to whether you're going to manage it as well, because it'll give either an assassination, or there'll be a chance they can stop you, or they'll outright just grab your fucking arm in midair.
If it says assassinate in red, you can't do it. It won't let you. So you know if you're going to.
You'll give it a go and be like, nope.
Yeah. What were you going to ask, Chris?
Well, I was just going to ask, because you mentioned at the start about Ghost of Tsushima, and I just wonder about Yotai now.
Yep.
And I just wanted to get people, because you guys have played it. I haven't played it, and I was looking forward
Shadows, to be clear. We haven't played Yotai.
So you guys have played Shadows. Yeah, you haven't played Yotai. No one's played Yotai.
Not yet.
And Yotai is one of my games that I'm looking forward to, because I love Tsushima, right? So I just want to get people's perspectives of things, having played
an interesting one, because
Shadows now.
I'm with you in that I was like, I still want to, obviously, but I mean, is it fair to say that Shadows is actually surprisingly good?
I think it's fair to say that because I think there's an expectation that Ubisoft is going to fuck something up, and they don't always do that. I'm not saying, because I love that. I love Assassin's Creed.
No, I know, but this to me is another.
But it is a way above.
Fuck-ups, basically.
And I think that. But Tsushima, people are going to, when Yotai comes out this year, every like Sony fan or anti-Ubisoft head is going to be, Yotai is this, Yotai is this, Yotai is this. And I think it's going to be spectacular. Like, I've no doubt in my mind.
It'll be great, yeah.
But even with the focus on stealth, even with them being stealth games, the Ghost of Tsushima, and I imagine that Yotai will be the same, they're very action oriented. Like, the combat is on a completely different level. Like, I like the combat in Shadows, but it wasn't, to me, it wasn't a patch on Tsushima's combat, because that combat to me was almost peerless. Like, I
think they're very different video games. They
are very different.
They are.
And I think
they are very different. Well, I haven't played Shadows, but if it's an Assassin's Creed game, they are very different. But the reason I ask is because I've already seen the Tsushima versus Shadows comparison, and I just wonder if when you get Yotai, it's just going to be because it's literally the same year. So I might as well stoke that fire before it starts and get your thoughts.
The trouble is it's easy for me because I think there's room for everything. You know what I mean? Like, one being good doesn't mean the other one has to be bad for me. I'm on the good games. So
absolutely.
You'd much rather have that.
In fact, that's a perfect way to say bringing on the good games, Chris.
I have a question for you boys before we move on quickly.
Okay.
Because one thing wasn't made particularly clear leading up to this, and I hadn't actually clocked it when I previewed it either, is for the last few games, you've always had the overhead drone camera in the form of flying bird.
Yeah, you don't have that now.
No, how do you guys feel about that? Because honestly, at first I lamented it a little bit because I got used to it, But then there's the argument that it
You're
used
talking
to
about
make
Eagle
things
Vision
too
from
easy
above.
at times.
Yeah, it also made no sense.
No,
whatsoever.
that's
No,
why.
like,
Do you know what I
focus
mean? It
more.
wasn't a drone. It was a way for Ubisoft to put a
Yeah.
drone in after they used a drone in Far Cry or
They might as
Ghost
well have let you mark
Recon
targets
or...
and auto-execute from Splinter Cell.
Exactly.
I
And
never liked it.
I didn't. I mean, even I think in Far Cry Primal, you could even use like you had a hawk, and you could
Yeah.
make it just attack people
But
for
you know
you
what
like
else
a
it
drone.
does by removing
do
it?
it in
'Cause
Origins
you
too.
could be attacked whilst using that eagle. So it takes you out of the game because it's stupid. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm going to fly my eyes up into this eagle and I'm going to ping everything. You can
Or
still
I'll
ping
jag you out.
everything.
Yeah.
It
or whatever
certainly
it was.
changes up
Yeah.
how you play because it's no longer having like gone to a fort or a castle. Scan
Honest
it
to
first
God,
to know everyone's
if you hadn't
movement.
said it now, I wouldn't have thought about
No.
it. I don't think I even thought about that
But-
element after the first time I climbed a tower and heard and got onto a vantage and heard an eagle and went,
Yeah.
oh, there are eagles. I
Eagles
never thought
existing.
about it after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
But
it's
it is-
just one of those things that is, it makes for a big change moment to moment
Because
because
the
you can't
iconic
just walk
noise,
around.
the iconic sort of eagle shriek is in the game. Every time you get onto one of those vantage points, you hear the eagle call, and then you can see one flying around you. So, like, the eagle towers are still eagle towers.
Because they were going to take that out at one
Not
point as
okay.
well, weren't they? They said that wasn't going to be a feature, and I was like, oh, that's such a part
If
of
you
it.
haven't got eagle towers and leaps of faith, it's not Assassin's
But I
Creed.
think
Yeah.
also,
And
something
even just
you
that
said-
scan around in 360, if that were gone, I'd be like, oh, come on, boys.
But
what are you
Mick
doing?
said, I think, to me earlier in the review sort of process is that like one of the things about that game is that it almost doesn't feel like a Ubisoft game in a lot of ways, and I think that's again, I'm not ragging on them rather. It's like
No, but I guess you mean a traditional
Yes,
Ubisoft
like it
game, and
does feel a
we
bit
said this
less
about
rote.
not to go on about on other ones, but you need to move with the times, and that's a good thing. And,
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
need to, the best. I think the best games are ones that don't feel like they're 10 years old, 15 years old. They feel a bit fresh. And if this doesn't feel like your standard Ubisoft title, that's good.
Good,
because
yeah.
the previous ones did, and actually it shows a kind of evolution. That's
How
good.
long has it been now since we had the big sort of RPG style changeover to Origins? It must be 9 years now.
It's got to be something like that.
No,
somewhere
that
there?
sounds too much.
Is
I
that
mean, it's
too
been
much?
5 years since Valhalla, so it
Yeah,
can't be.
not enough
Yeah.
to me. Origins,
No.
Odyssey,
We're getting
Valhalla, and
old, mate.
Shadows.
Valhalla was
wow.
2020, yeah. So,
No.
and at that point, they were doing it yearly. So you're probably going back to 2017, 2018,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
And that was the last big shake-up, wasn't it, as far as it goes?
Assassin's Creed Origins was 2017.
Yeah.
So 7 years. That doesn't seem long enough.
But yeah, it's they have moved on now, and that has changed more than the last two games in the series have. They just felt like slight evolutions from Origins throughout Valhalla and Odyssey. This is changing again, definitely.
Well,
And they've
speaking
been-
of moving
they've
on,
been big moves
Stephen. Speaking of moving on. we
better fucking move on.
Fired. No,
Speaking of shutting the fuck up, Steve.
No, speaking of moving on, like we should talk about Atomfall. We're not going to talk about loads of games this week, but we want to talk about Atomfall as well because they're oddly. I was going to say they're oddly comparable. They're not, but what they share for me is that both of them I really enjoy exploring. But we've sort of banged on enough, and again, Mick's review is on the website, and you could get his, and the video is on youtube.com/lootlevelchill. So let's hear from someone who hasn't given an opinion on it yet, because I previewed it a few weeks ago, probably.
We talked
Chris?
about it on this very podcast.
Yeah,
a
it just
couple of
seems
weeks
like
ago,
a 2017 all over again. Chris.
You really want my opinion?
Oh
on
yes,
it?
mate.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
So
Let's hear
I need to preface this with I haven't played a lot of it. Like
And I'll respond to that when you're done, because I think that's a.
I think that is and I know that is important.
because I felt as
perfect.
you feel at one point.
Yes,
I'm just going to get
So-
comfy for the fireworks now.
Yeah, so there are parts to this game that I really, 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 really like. So I really like I love the fucking setting.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
You know, Rule Britannia, right? Like, let's get that out of the way. Fucking England. I just like
It's different. It's not America.
it's not America. Everything happens in America.
It's not
Everything
just
does.
that.
And
It's
sorry,
not
I
just
don't
that.
want people thinking I hate America. I don't hate anyone or anything, but like it's just nice to have. It
It's
just feels,
nice to
I live
just
here, and it feels
actually-
unique to have a game that's fucking.
To have something that is set, unless obviously we've literally just talked about Shadows, which wasn't set in America, but that's
Pub
because it's
with
in
a
the
thatched cottage on it. That's all I want.
yeah. But like literally going like we've gone up north and it's great, and I love that, and it's just but it's like it's authentic Northern. Like it's not like what other people think
It's not silly.
England is like.
No.
It's
that's it. Yeah, it's not silly. It's not.
Yeah,
They
it's an
sound authentic.
It
The
feels.
voices.
It feels. Yeah, the voice acting is really good. It feels like an authentic kind of representation of it. Like if it happened, right? Which I know it's odd because the setting is very sort of, it's a little bit. It's a little bit fallout, a little bit, no, dickhead. A little bit.
Is it all post-apocalyptic?
Yeah,
not in
the sense. It's just shit's gone down.
Yeah, you're in a nuclear, essentially a nuclear quarantine.
It's not a spoiler.
Zone,
It's
but
literally the opening of the game.
Okay.
Yeah, and like so, and a lot of it is you don't know what the fuck's happened. Yeah. A lot of the start of the game is what the fuck's happened. I've got to try and figure out where I need to go. I've got a couple of words that someone said to me. I need to follow some sort of some threads of information, and you find a little bit more out, and you figure out where you got to go on the map and stuff. So you're piecing shit together. I actually really like that. The mystery and intrigue of it all, and combined with up north, I did like that. You meet some people that aren't trying to blow your face off. They're nicely voice acted and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is all right. And there's a bit of mystery because you come across some enemies that aren't 100% human, shall we say? You're like, why is that there? And you're like, why is that there? Don't know. Sure, figure it out. Great, that's all good. And like, so I started off and I was like, I really like this. This is really good. I'm enjoying myself. I'm exploring. I can go this way. Some guys say if you go that way, you're going to get shot. So maybe don't. And I'm like, good advice. I'll go this way. But it's like, it's not what I don't want to sit here and say it's a 60-hour choose your own adventure type sprawl, but it is very much like you can go this way and you can go that way. I mean, we were talking in chat about finding a particular item that I found within the first 20 minutes that someone else found after multiple hours. I'm like, how the fuck did you miss that? And it's like, well, I was thinking about how he missed that because I turned right at the start of my adventure and he probably turned left, and that's probably why we didn't we saw different things.
No, it really is. Yeah.
And it's literally, I'm one of the people that would be like, if I have to go, if I'm being told the way forward is left and I can go right, I'll go right first and then come back to going left because I don't want to miss anything. So that's what you can do in it. But there's also, it's a bit sort of spiderwebby in the sense that you go here and it can link into there and all that sort of stuff. The areas are kind of linked together as well, from what I can gather.
I'm right in thinking, because obviously I haven't played any of this. It's not fully open world. Is it more?
No, it's open zones.
It's open zones.
Wide,
yeah. So,
a bit like a Avowed in a way, but without the fast travel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the bit I like less about this game, and I know, then I will pause, and then everyone can tell me how wrong I am in the future of the game and all that sort of stuff. Is I didn't click with the combat.
No.
I feel like the combat, if it's melee to melee combat, it's fine. Swatting something with a cricket bat is cathartic and will always be cathartic. And in games wherever they let you do that, or any sort of truncheon or phallic shaped object, great.
Are you singing "Don't Stop Me Now" as you're doing it?
Yeah.
It's a snooker cue now, Stephen. Come on.
Yeah, we head to the Winchester and hope everything blows over. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that stuff's all grand, but like the two kind of things that I sort of noticed is that when it's not melee and it's shooting, I personally found the shooting to be very ineffective and one way, in the sense that I'd shoot enemies and there just appear to be no damage received, and then clearly everyone in this world is from the sniping forces and seem to just shoot me from across the map, even though I'm,
This is headshots the game, though.
But like I was feeling like I was headshotting and it wasn't damaging people.
I think it's more than that, though. Like Mick says, headshots the game. I think it's more than that. I think it's that they do so much damage to you wherever they hit you. With
it's the imbalance, and I get survival type game.
Yeah.
No,
And if I was-
that's where it goes wrong, though. I believe.
Yeah, because I think what I was finding, even in literally area 1, let's call it, like the opening area, I was just kind of minding my own business, just like literally exploring.
Can I ask you a question before you say what you're going to say? Because I bear in mind I previewed it, but not the opening area. It's like one of the. I think it's you can. Well, I did go to that next. The question I was going to ask you is, in that opening area, right? Did you take someone on, get the shit kicked out of you, and then be like, "This game's hard"?
Yes.
So this is the thing.
Yeah, the first 3 guys I met.
Yeah, I got beaten.
So what I started to do is I was like, right, there's long grass here, and the game tells you about stealth and long grass. And I'm like, right, the best way for me to do this is wait till one of them is on their own, and I've worked my way into the long grass, and then they're on their own, and then I'll go and do the takedown attack from behind. Assassin's Creed, right? Yeah. I've done this before.
Unfortunately,
I've played a video game.
Unfortunately, what I was finding is I'd go up to behind someone, and you get the prompt for takedown, which is the same as attack, right? Which is quite, what you would expect it to be. Press it, and they just do a normal attack. And honestly, that happened about 75% of the time for me. And as soon as you attack someone with the cricket bat, as you'd probably expect, this is not a criticism of the game. You'd make a noise if you got hit with a cricket bat.
But the stealth kills in this make a noise. That's what pissed me.
But they do, yeah. So
they do in Assassin's Creed as well. By the way, when you kill someone, they go, and like, no one hears it, and you're like, all right.
I'm less bothered by them making a slight
but in this,
noise when they take them down.
Everyone does hear it. That's what annoys me.
But like this is like if what I found is some people don't hear it if they're far enough away. If you do a takedown kill, I'm fine with them making some sort of noise. I've not got a silenced cricket bat, right? But it's like what I don't like is I've got the input on the screen to do a takedown. It doesn't do it. It just sort of pokes them in the back of the knee, and they go, you fucker, right, I'm going to get you. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, half of fucking Yorkshire has heard that and is now descending with fucking shotguns and snipers.
I didn't get that, I have to say. I had it a few times, but not persistently. Like that is rough.
Like I say, more than the majority of the time when I tried to take...
I never enjoyed...
Yeah, and that was what I found. And then coupled with the fact that now 7 guys are after me, and
3 of them have got guns or bows.
Guns and also the other thing that I found surprising, and this does happen again. I'm not saying, the grass should mean that I am invisible, right? I don't mean that, but it does this thing where it tells you, like in Skyrim and other games, it does this as well. It goes, you're invisible, you've been spotted, but you're not quite found, and red means you are found and you're being chased, kind of thing, whatever. Yeah. The thing that I thought was odd is I'm hiding and it tells me I'm hidden, but it then doesn't tell me someone in other games, if you're trying to hide in the grass but they're getting a bit close, it tells you you're starting to be detected and you might want to warn him. This just goes, nope, you've been discovered because
that's fair.
And I'm like, right. So I just felt like I spent a lot of my time hiding in grass against unwavering odds of combat, which I thought was interesting. What I thought was interesting is the game starts, the recommended settings are 4 out of 5 difficult.
And it's too high.
And I was like, I went on that because I always go on what the devs tell me I should go on to because it's their designed game, and I always do that. And I was like, but I thought that was interesting that even they've gone, well, we've only got 1 level higher than this, but we've got 3 levels lower than this.
So I think the thing is what they've tried. I think what I 100% cannot. I cannot give a rebuttal to what you've said because I very quickly, even having played it preview based and didn't have any of those issues, even that, I went in quite confidently.
Yeah.
But I got my ass handed to me, and so I was not like instantly, but after a little while I was like, look, I am actually, like you, I am really enjoying this world, the exploration.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be ruined, but I am feeling too underpowered. It might be that the intention is, no, you really must stick at it. You really must be stealthy. And eventually...
because you can't.
But that's not what I felt. And so, but what I think the mistake has been made here is where they've got the recommended difficulty. And as you say, it's in terms of numerical value, it's like difficulty 4 of 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you go down one and it's like the combat is like no combat really, basically. But then you're like, okay, well, what else is there? So you go down once, like, the combat's back to where it was, but now the like survival shit is gone, and you're like, well, I don't really want that either. And you go down to the bottom, and everything's just like, just
well, you can
whatever.
custom that. You can.
They're no individual
That's what I'm getting at. So they've kind of gone all or nothing. And what I found is by customizing, so basically leaving on what they would say is recommended.
Yeah, because I only dropped the
lowering
combat.
the
I
combat.
left everything else.
Exactly what
Do you
I'm
know
saying.
when I did it though?
Yep.
The point when I did it, so I was all right. So I got my ass kicked in the first area, and then I just learned to avoid people. Because usually, if you haven't got a weapon drawn, even the outlaws, if you back off quickly enough, they don't tend to pursue you until their cursor's gone red. So I started off just avoiding people after that first incident. But there was a point where I'd gone into like an underground bunker or something. I can't exactly remember what it was, but it was an outlaw base.
It's the same one I went into, and it was outlaws bunker, and there's every corner.
Yeah, and there's guys sitting around a campfire in the middle of this big room, right? And I thought, right, I'll take these out. So I had about 8 rounds in my rifle. I had a couple of shots in a pistol. I knew I had some bullets. I had a nail bomb that I'd found. I couldn't make them yet, but I'd found one. So I was like, right, I'll have these lot because there's no way I can get through this room without doing something.
Going loud.
So I thought, but headshot, this is where difficulty is still on challenging for combat, right? Pop the first guy in the head, he drops. Then they're up. All of them are up, and they instantly. There's no like, where is he? They instantly pin.
They're also by the way coming from
really
off screen. You didn't know there was 2 round that side and 2 round that side. You didn't know they.
What annoyed me, what got me to change the difficulty though, was not the fact that a headshot is a headshot and it does decent damage. Later on, you get enemies that have masks or whatever, and
but that's fine.
Do it a couple of times.
That's fine.
But they came at me, and so I've got 2 guys down the bottom, like shooting. I've got some girl with Molotovs throwing Molotovs at me. All normal, right? This is like a Fallout again. You haven't got a VAT system, but it's basically I know what I'm doing, right? I'm going to take the guys who are shooting out, and then I'm going to worry about the ones running at me. If I get a clean shot and it's easy, I'll pop him in the head first so he doesn't get near me. But usually I'm going for the guns and the bitch throwing the bombs, right?
Yeah.
The problem with this game I found on challenging was once the enemies get on you, by the time you've put your gun away to get a melee weapon out, you're dead because you're dead in 2 or 3 hits from a normal enemy.
I think
and then if you've got 2 of them, and the other thing is you have to kick them to stun them, right?
Yes,
that works great against 1 enemy, maybe 2. Once there's 2 or 3, you can't spam that kick. It makes you out of breath. You do the
but
kick,
you also can't heal without going
into
into a menu, which is, I think, a big mistake.
Yeah,
you can quick bar.
Hotkeys.
You can quick hotkey the D-pad, but only with.
I mean, that's
weapons.
Always a bit weird to think like I've just been hit with an arrow. Wait, bandage. Cornish pasty.
No, but then you make a decision. In a game, you either allow people to pause or you don't. In this game, you can't pause. You go in the menu and they're still going to be coming at you when you're bandaging. You can't have it both ways. If they mitigated that by letting you put a bandage or health kit to a quick bar, job done. But it can't be both or neither.
This is where it's a little bit at odds with itself sometimes, because I think they really, really wanted to make a survival crafting game. But then I think at some point they decided they had a really good, and they do have a great story. They had a really good story to tell as well. And they had this fucking beautifully realized world like this.
Stunning,
it's not just the fact that it's England. It's because like you look at Watch Dogs Legion, that's technically England, but that's one of those things where it looks like New York, but there's a double-decker bus. Do you know what I mean? It's that version of England, the Ubisoft England, the Grand Theft Auto England. It's not really. This fucking feels like England.
Yeah, it does.
So you've got this really gorgeous world, and I don't think I've ever played anything where the game gave me so much freedom in terms of, and I'm not right, it's hard to word this because I don't mean like Fallout, you can go anywhere, Skyrim, you can go anywhere. In this, it's more like Chris said, you can go right or you can go left or you can go forward, you can talk to that person, you can help this person. All those leads, nearly every lead that you get is main story. Somewhere, right? There's very few where it's like, oh, I'll go and do this and not do the story. No. That side quest you just did with her, you've just advanced the story.
Basically, because you look really puzzled, Steve. It basically there might be there's multiple ways to skin a cat in a sense, right? So you can progress the main story in multiple ways. So you could find out some information from this person by helping them out in this little side bit, or you could go this way and you might find something else that also helps towards that same main story. You don't have to do all of them.
Interleaved across everything.
Yeah. So you can do achieve the same thing in a variety of ways. Is what I guess you're trying to say, Mick.
That's
right?
interesting.
To try and like take that confused look off your face. It's like so.
But that's never going to happen.
I ended up. I was like,
that.
you know, it would tell me, oh, go over here to find more about this. It's not a spoiler because it's mentioned within the first 3 words of the game. There's interface, is it?
Interchange.
Interchange.
That's the main. That's the main.
It's like
hub
what
of the
fuck
game.
is interchange? Is like a pretty decent question to ask yourself when you've woken up with fucking, you know, can't remember anything. What's the word of that? Fucking amnesia.
Oh, the irony.
Brilliant
Yes,
bit of irony. Steve's right. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's genius. You meant
but
that.
like, I'm not that funny, Steve.
No, you
but
meant
like,
it. I'm not having that.
You end up with multiple different leads about what could how to get to the interchange and all this sort of stuff.
You forgot the word for amnesia.
I said it again. What did I say?
No, it's just really sorry. It's sort of
just dawned on him what you did.
It's really sunk in that you couldn't remember the word for amnesia, and it's like that. It's
no, I know.
That's the sort of thing I do, and like that is remarkable. I am so happy.
Yeah. Sorry, Mick. I'll let you carry on. I was just trying to explain to Steve because he got really confused.
Just a quick, I'm imagining a world much like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture.
Yes,
is that
visually, kind of. I'll tell you what as well is it throws some weird shit in randomly. Like there's a bit where you sort of get to the second area and it's all meadows.
So you say second area, but that was your second area. That's important.
Well, if you're following the story, it's the second area. So you can go where you want, but if you go with the story, you can't go to the next.
He's like, no, I was following my story, and
you can do what. No, I'll be clear. You can go wherever you want. If you follow the story will lead you to Skethermore as the second open area. There's only 3 open areas.
It was technically my second area.
Yeah,
in the sense only 3. I entered it. Some guy told me you'll get shot, and I left it very quickly.
So if you go into Casterfell first, so you can get to Casterfell through the village, right? You've got the village in the middle, Wyndham. Then you've got Slattendale, Skethermore, and Casterfell. You aren't permitted to go into Casterfell at the beginning, whereas you probably can. But in terms of the way the story works, Slattendale is where you emerge from the bunker.
Yes.
You follow, then you're told to go to the village. You go to the village. When you talk to the guy in the village that gives you the next leg of the story, he tells you to go to Skethermore. So you could say, fuck you, I'm going to Casterfell. That's not the story. So I'm talking about narratively, and as far as the story is concerned, Skethermore is second.
Fight.
Adam,
so you're free to go where you want, and I'm not disputing that. But if you're following the narrative, you're going to go to Skethermore as the second area. There's only 3.
The thing is what? So just to be clear, the reason I'm disagreeing is because you're not technically. I'm not saying you're wrong, but for me, there's a technicality here in that you're basically saying if you follow a specific thread of the story, because
but you can't get to the other threads of the main story until you go to Skethermore. Because you can't meet the other characters.
I'm agreeing with Chris. I think every part of the threads they all come back to one. It's really cleverly weaved, is what I'm saying.
Like you could go to Casterfell and you could talk to the particular NPC there, and she'll still tell you to do the same thing. But if you go to her first, you can't do what you have to do until you talk to the first guy in the village anyway.
No, but
so as a narrative,
it's a bit of a detour then, essentially.
Yeah, in terms of a structure to the game, you kind of do have to talk to Sims because he kicks off the actual plot. If you don't talk to Captain Sims and he tells you what he wants you to do and where you need to go, if you walk into Skethermore without talking to Sims, you'll get shot dead by a giant robot in minutes.
I didn't.
But there's everybody in Skethermore will attack you unless you've got a pass from Sims, and then you can walk there freely.
Okay. I don't know. I've not been attacked by anyone, apart from the obvious people that attack.
Are you just hiding in the grass constantly?
No.
Yeah, but those people the obvious people that
I might be thinking of
Wyndham
or whatever it's called. There's a lot of very British town names that are like
Wyndham is the village. There's only one
village,
and that's Wyndham, and then there's 3 open zones.
Yeah, Wyndham's like a smaller open zone, isn't it?
It's the hub, isn't it? But you need permission to walk freely in Skethermore. Otherwise, fair enough, you might not come across them.
Is Skethermore the outside of with Wyndham?
No, it's the next. It's sort of the
Right.
next map. So
Okay.
each map is like its own zone. Like so, where you found the helicopter in the castle, that's Casterfell.
Yeah, that's the one
Right.
I've like done 100% well, apart from
Yeah,
about a
so-
fucking book.
yeah.
And I'm not talking about that here.
Yeah. So Skethamore is sort of is an area where there's it's the same, but it's just got different shit
Different
to
stuff
find
in the
it. So it's got.
fields,
I think
yeah, in the-
I think Skethamore is where the dam is. I think so. Like. Yeah, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Like
No,
it's
it doesn't. I don't
kind
know
of
why we're
irrelevant.
arguing it,
Like
really.
you could potentially not go to Wyndham and talk to
Yeah,
anybody.
I
You
really
could go
didn't
straight
for
through Wyndham
ages.
and go out of the next gate if you wanted to.
I found Wyndham by
But, like-
accident. I knew where it was because there is another way into it, but I went through the sewers and I was like, I came up into it and there was a padlocked thing I smashed through and I got to this village, Wyndham, and it was like, oh, I'm in a quaint little village with a church there. Oh, the vicar's killed someone. Or has he? I don't know. I'm finding that out at the moment.
I want a
No,
giant
it's-
robot just wandering past.
Yes,
the
that's
phone.
but that isn't the first one of them I'd seen. So yeah, but like it's just it's a really wonderful game for the exploration and the story. I just like, and I'm not saying that Chris, you should have to adjust the difficulty because it's not. That's I know how you feel about that sort of stuff. We've discussed it before, but what I will say is I think you'll enjoy it more if you just. But the only thing is I will also say that I think the difficulty isn't dialed brilliantly because Mick, for example, you changed just same as me, just the combat difficulty.
Yeah,
So if I say to you, 1 kick, 2 swings of a cricket bat, basically that kills everyone, doesn't it?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I didn't.
Not for the whole game, but like for the early areas.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't just do that though. It also dials down things like enemies' awareness. So it
Yeah, I
kind
think
of,
so too.
I didn't have to. I didn't engage in melee combat unless they saw me and came at me. I rarely did, and I normally just shot them in the head.
I think if you're okay with trivializing the combat in
Yeah, and
service
I
of
was.
making the exploration and mystery
Yeah.
of it all, and I also 100%
I
am.
think
It turns it into a
if you
power
go into
fantasy
it-
of sorts.
Yeah. See, if you're not after that, if you go into it thinking, I just want to, like, if you want that level of challenge, this game's
Survival
got it.
game.
And you can go higher if you want. If you go up
Yeah.
to the extreme difficulty, it takes away every possible help you could have. Like, I don't even think you've got a compass to know which direction you're facing if you turn everything up high. So it's got the challenge there for people. But for me, I played it the way I played Fallout. You know, I preferred Fallout when I could just walk around the world, and if someone popped up and I shot them in the head, they died, and I carried on my way. You know what I mean? And then there were things that are still challenging. A death claw is still a pain in the ass in Fallout if you've got the difficulty down. And there are enemies in Atomfall, which I won't spoil or tell you where they are, what they are. But there's enemies towards the end of the game that, on the easy mode, it was taking me 5 or 6 headshots before they stopped coming at me. And that was scary because all of a sudden I'm loaded up with bullets finally towards the end of the game, and all of a sudden, and I knew because the game started giving me ammo.
Yeah, that's when you know it's like
All
the
over
Resident
the
Evil
fucking
thing, isn't
place,
it?
there was ammo. I had so much ammo, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is the end game. I've got so many bullets. Let's go!" All of a sudden, there's enemies that take an entire fucking clip of bullets before they'll stop coming at you. So even on easy, there are some bits where I was like, I died. Like, I can't kill this thing. It won't stop. And I've ran out of ammo, and now I've got my fucking little tiny knife. Because you've got only limited slots, haven't you? Like
Yes,
rifles and
very
your big
limited.
melee weapons. So, like, I'd resorted to using pistols a lot and smaller, like, because if you've got like a hatchet or one of those survival knives, they go in your normal inventory. You don't have to occupy a big slot for them. So I'd put 4 big guns, like I'd had a bow and a shotgun and a rifle and a machine gun in those, and then all my melee weapons were like in my normal inventory. So I was doing less damage with melee anyway. But like that was because I kept expecting to find a perk that let me carry more stuff, but I don't think there is one.
No, I don't
So
think
you've always got this limited inventory, and like you can use those pneumatic tubes to store your stuff, and like there is like a stash, so you can put stuff in one place, and if you go to another place, you can get the stuff out again. But you can only do that inside these science facilities. You can't do it out in the open world. There isn't one in the hub village just easily for you. You can't. So when you want to trade something, if you've left it in a pneumatic tube, you're fucking going back. And and there is a lot of walking because there's no fast travel. In fact, I chased what I thought was fast travel around until I realised that I was a dickhead and the game had completely trolled me. And I can't spoil what it is,
you
but
trolled
really?
yourself. We can't
I
spoil it,
did.
but I
I
think you
really
trolled
did.
yourself, if I'm honest.
I
wanted
can
it to be
say
there so badly that it was.
I can say that there are red phone boxes everywhere, and they normally ring, and a scary voice talks to you. And then I saw a blue phone box, and I thought, oh, a different kind of phone box.
Okay, you have spoiled it there. I think
this must be magic. Well, yeah, and then the blue phone box disappeared, and I literally walked around looking for more, and I don't know who.
To be fair, right? When you mentioned it, I was like, I don't see the connection. And then when you came back on chat about 10 minutes later, I went, for fuck's sake, Doctor Who. I was like, oh yeah, of course.
Obvious when you say it.
That's what. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, guys, I've spoiled one reference, but there are so many Easter eggs. There are so many Easter eggs in this game, and every one of them, I went, what the fuck is that doing there? And I mean, it's loving. I mean, Rebellion do. Mainly it's just Sniper Elite, I think, apart from this, isn't it? They've done like the Sniper Elite series, and they did like Zombie, whatever it was called, the Sniper Zombie Army, that's it. But like, they've poured so much into this. I think even you said to me, Adam, about how much they've put in this game.
It is so much
and for all the little foibles where I'm like, is that really modern? Like, should that be in a mod? Like, should I not have hotkeys? Should I not have fast travel? Like, fast travel would have made that game. If I'd had fast travel when I reached the end, I would have gone back and done more of that game. Because there's a point where I knew I was at the end game, and I knew if I made this decision now, I was locked in.
I think he wants you to replay.
I do think that as well, because you can't
give you a
possibly
flavor to the game too by not allowing you to do that.
I think fast travel would ruin it personally.
You can't possibly follow all the paths because they contradict one another. So you're going to have to make a choice sooner or later to help somebody and let other people down, because it sets it up in such a way that if I do this, I've locked off being able to help that other person. And it does that with all three of these story paths. Okay. So I do think at a certain point, I mean, you could probably play the save game and go, right, I'm just going to lock a save there, and then I'm going to finish the game, then I'm going to come back to that point and do this mission. But I think, and like you said, maybe fast travel would, because it's also a game that is not, there's no filler in it. Like, it's not, you know how, like, and we go back to Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft open worlds. Ubisoft create these enormous open worlds that are so fucking huge, they have to either give you fast travel or pepper it with stuff, and they pepper it with stuff everywhere. There's a tower to climb, there's a box to find, I love it. I'll do a checklist open world all day long. I love it. The best thing about Atomfall is it doesn't do that. They create these, they go, with this area needs to have this in it, needs to have that in it, it needs to have this in it, it needs to have this in it, it has to be exactly this big to fit everything in. Oh, there's a bit of space in the middle, I'll put a castle there. It's not like, let's make a massive world and try and fill it with random shit. It's like this zone is exactly the size it has to be to contain all the things it needs to contain, and a few little extras if you want to do them. And I love that, because there's no like there's no one going, oh, can you go and bring me fucking 18 irradiated haggises from wherever? That doesn't happen in it. There are people that are like, can you take this to somewhere because you probably already go in there? Or like, you know, Mother J go, can you go, there's a castle up there, if you're going in anyway, can you find my cookbook or whatever? Like, which some of us found really easily sitting on a table, and other people scoured the castle from top to bottom.
Either it was bugged, or I picked it up thinking it was something else and didn't notice it.
I can't see you missing it, because you're more thorough than I am a lot of the time.
It's not even that. I went through the whole castle, killed everyone above, outside, and below it. Went in every room multiple times, unlocked every door, found a library, so I must have just picked it up and not.
It was in the library, so you must have either missed it or no bosses fights as well. That surprised me. I kept expecting a boss fight because I'm used to games going, here's a boss fight, just to break things up as you go. Yeah, and they don't do that. Like, it's not very like it's not a very exactly. It's not a very traditional sort of FPS. It's very, very good. Like, it's got so many things that annoyed me in the moment, or annoyed me in hindsight, or I thought maybe should have been there, or, you know, but overall, it's such a well-made world. I think that's what sold it for me from the minute I got into it, is just how it looks like places I've been. And not many games look like places I've been. You know, I've been to Cornwall. I've got family down there. I've been up north. I've been to these places, and I've walked along those. I don't know what they're called, but those walls that they make out of just like jagged stone that they just
dry stone walls.
Dry stone walls.
Yeah. There, and I'm like, I've seen this place. I haven't, but I have. I've been to these disused
Mick Fraser,
quarries.
I've seen a wall.
Yeah, but I mean, I've
been in this nuclear bunker.
Yeah.
But like, even when you watch stuff like Game of Thrones or whatever, and it's filmed in England or somewhere,
that's in Ireland, isn't it? Technically, I suppose.
Yeah, well,
it could be Ireland, a bit with different accents.
But you're taken out of that. But then with this, it's like I've walked past like a rusty old tractor in the middle of a field with a.
To be fair, there's no dragons in this. To be fair,
no, there's no dragons. There are Grimleys, but there's no dragons. No. There's exploding sheep that pop out of nowhere.
I can play as for free, surely, as well. Can as other people, can't they?
Yeah, Game Pass. Yeah.
I need to get on this, surely, by the sounds of it.
I think, you should try it for sure. But I do think it's a game you've got to person, because you start off weak as piss. You can't really do a lot against anything. And you don't level up. But you get these skill books, and every skill book that you find, you spend these, like, you use these trainings to, because very briefly, like what they're doing that caused the disaster in the first place. I won't spoil it because it is big end game stuff, but basically they're mining this substance that they've found. I don't think they give it an actual name, but they're mining this substance they found, and it's like Adam in BioShock, or it's that kind of thing, where it's like a miracle substance. It's an unobtainium. It's and it can do things like power like atomic, like robots and things like that. But also you can distill it into these stimulants, and they help you. Like, you can drink one of these, and then the first thing you look at, you'll learn. So like you learn skills from books by drinking a training stimulant or injecting a training stimulant, reading a book, and then you learn how to do it. That's how the skill system works. So you go, as you're going through the game, you'll find a book, and the book will have 3 skills. You learn that, like, you've got the skills once you've used the book, but you need the training stimulants, and you need quite a lot of them to unlock the skills.
Right.
So it doesn't level up. So you start off one level, you don't get intrinsically stronger, but the more enemies you kill or the more things you find. There's no XP thing going off when you find a new area. So it's not like that. So you're as strong at the beginning as you will be at the end. You can just do things better. Like you'll have, I can craft quicker, or I can salvage more ammo off a dead thing or whatever. It's got those kind of skills.
Gotcha.
But I do think you've got to, like, a bit like Dragon's Dogma in a way, where you've got to kind of meet it on its own terms. You've got to accept that either you're going to drop the difficulty, or you're going to struggle a little bit at the beginning. But I do think for some people it'll be worth it. But it's not a game where you go, I'm getting my ass kicked at the beginning. Yeah, you're going to unlock some skills, and you're going to learn how to game the game. Like, you're going to learn how to get around the melee combat. You're going to learn how to do the stealth kills. But you're not going to intrinsically just get magically stronger as you play the game. So if you're struggling at the start, you've got to learn its systems. You've got to play it. Yeah. You've got to get better at the game, not just go and grind XP and hope that you're strong enough.
Okay, sounds cool.
Well, on that note, no listener questions this week, or question of the week, I should say. We're going to next bonus pod, not the one after this. So the bonus pod that will go with episode 5, we'll do some more listener questions. We've got something a little bit different this week. I've got an interview for you to listen to the audio version of. And that bonus pod is only available to Patreons, which is patreon.com/lootlevelchill. One word in that instance, patreon.com/lootlevelchill, where we do a bonus pod as often as we can. At the moment, we've done one for every regular episode. There's been behind the scenes stuff of events we've been to. There's been early access to this pod and the video version of this pod. There's been all sorts of stuff. So consider that Patreon, however you say it, patreon.com/lootlevelchill, $2.50, £2.50 a month, and it helps us keep the lights on, literally. Thank you very much to Chris Hyde, to Steve Chambers, and to Mick Fraser for being here for this episode, and we will speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye for now.